Hello everyone, welcome to the live stream. Hi, we haven't got anyone yet. I'm just going to start though. This is the live stream that I promised I'd do in the last live stream, or my last video, where I said I'd be assembling a really cool Clockwork toy. It's a working clock. I had it working just a minute ago, and I was going to show you it working first, but my husband suggested it might be more dramatic if you saw it in a state of disassembly before seeing it assembled at the end. It would be more suspenseful to see it go together. We haven't got anyone yet, so I don't even know if the sound is working. But it does say I'm online, so I'm just going to press straight on. I've assembled this twice now, so I think I should be able to do it. Hello, would be good. Thanks for joining us. I should be able to do this from memory, I hope. I'm glad the sound is working. Let's go. Now, I'm going to try and explain. I don't really know much about Clockwork. Everything I know about Clockwork is based on this toy. I haven't, I've never studied it, or, never really understood anything before putting this one together. So I'm going to try and explain. What was that? Okay. It's great. I'm going to try and explain to you what I've learned from putting this together, which I think is kind of interesting. This piece here is pretty cool. This is a kind of classic piece. It only goes one way, so when you put this, as in it only rotates one way because of the way that the shape that it falls into. When you put the key in, this is the key used to wind it up. You put it in the back here. This isn't, well, I suppose I could assemble it right now, actually. Do this bit first. It goes in the slot like that, and then you can, that's how you wind it up, is you turn it this way, and it can't turn back the other way, if that makes sense. It just, like that. So I guess that'll be our first piece, although that does make it awkward because now I can't lay this flat, so I'm going to take that out again. You're probably more familiar with the standard gear shape. This is the first piece that you put in right in the middle, as I remember. And what I need to do first is to put this piece in, which is this is actually the piece that will go on to drive the hands in the middle. That's why it goes right in the center here. So this is kind of it actually could be one piece. It's just that I guess it's too tall, so they made it into two pieces that you then have to slot together. And I suppose they wanted to, they may as well have you do a few little bits and pieces like that. So that goes right in the middle. Easy. Good start. Good job, everybody. Now let's put in our... Now this is a hard bit. I can't remember which of these goes in the right place, but I think it'll be more fun to try and figure it out than to just follow the instructions. Like, I had some friends in secondary school who figured out how to do a Rubik's Cube all by themselves. They were like, genius level mathematicians, and I was always really jealous of them because they actually figured out how to do the Rubik's Cube, and I couldn't even be bothered to learn how to do it from one of those cheat guides. So this is half memory and half sort of we'll puzzle through it. These gears are the sort of more standard gears that have the two different sort of not the ratio, but the two different radii. So you've got the teeth that are used to drive this gear, and then in turn, when this spins, it also drives something else, which is usually how a gear works. Is that it's got one teeth that interlock with the thing that drives it, and then it in turn drives something else with either increasing the gearing ratio or reducing it, depending on which way the direction of causality is going. So let's put this in here. I think this is where it goes, and it should. No, the fact that it's not fitting makes me think maybe it doesn't go there. That's good design philosophy. That's called Poka, by the way. It's Japanese design philosophy, meaning that you can't do it wrong. It means idiot-proof or foolproof. So this is well designed because you can't put this on the wrong spindle. Maybe you can put it on that one, but I think it goes on this one. And then this, I think, yeah. Then the white one goes up here. This white one's got these sort of more severe teeth than the last one. I actually don't know where I can hold this. It'll be easy for you to see. I guess I'll hold it down here. This one's got these sort of pointier teeth, and I'm going to explain why later. But that's how I know this one goes on top, because this one is driven by the pendulum, or rather it's regulated by the pendulum, which I only just found out the function of a pendulum for making this toy, so I'll explain that to you later. But these smaller teeth underneath lock in with the teeth of this red gear here, so I know that this one goes this way down because it has to interlock with the red gear. And you can see when I spin this, it'll spin the red one. They spin each other. Isn't that cool? And then this yellow one, I think that one drives the, yeah, there you go. The outer teeth of this yellow gear drive the inner teeth of the red gear of this. It's pretty pleasing. Okay. So far, so good. This one I think goes on later. I don't want to put on the this piece interlocks with the. This is the special gear that is that contains the spring that actually gets wound up by the key. So that goes in there through the back of the clock. I don't want to put that in yet, just because it doesn't lie flat after you put the key in. So I think one of these. I don't remember which way around the blue and the green go. So I guess we'll have to experiment a little bit. Maybe, okay, well, it won't let me put that one on there, so I think this one goes over. Where does that go? I think that one goes here. Yeah, you can see it interlocks with those white teeth there. Perhaps. I guess we'll see. And then this blue one, I suppose, goes here. Or maybe that goes underneath. Yeah, I guess we'll have to figure this one out. So far it's not interlocking with anything, which makes me think it's wrong. Maybe it's supposed to lock with the... No, that's not right. So maybe this one goes the other way up. Like this. Aha! That looks pretty good, isn't it? You see, that gear ratio is what makes it so that when I spin this one slowly, because of it's being stepped up here from the small radius to the big radius, it's being stepped up again here in the red one from the small radius to the big radius, and then by the time it's spinning this white one, even though I'm not moving it much in the blue one, it spins the white one really, really fast. You see? That's all we're doing here. Because in the end, of course, you're going to want to have this clockwork moving extremely slowly, you know, like a tiny, like 1 degree per second or something. So that's why you've got these the small movements here. Sorry, there are the big movements here, the white movements. This gear's when it moves according to the pendulum, letting it tick along. It doesn't actually move the whole clock around that much. So if I move this white one, you might be able to see that this blue one moves like how I was moving it before, but it moves very slowly. This is actually the direction that the... Well, it's kind of... I'll explain that at the end, actually, because it's kind of interesting, because the force is pushing in this direction. It's pushing this one, that then pushes this one, then pushes this one, then pushes this one. But it's actually the pendulum that regulates this one that actually sets the pace for the whole clock. Now I just realised that blue one has to go over this red one, so I'm going to have to take that off to put the red one on. And I'm also going to have to put in this nasty green one that makes it difficult to lay down. Hello. Oopsie. Sorry, it's a bit loud. Okay. this away. I'll hold it like that. Now let's put that blue one back. So this blue one, you can see the small teeth of this blue one interlock with the red driving gear. I don't know what the specific name for this is. I'm sure it has a proper name. The one that the gear that actually contains the spring. So you see this when I think I can do this now. If I wind this up, you can see that I can make all of these spin. But they're going way too fast, right? You don't want the clock to be spinning that fast. That's why the pendulum needs to regulate it. Sorry, I'm just getting the catching up with the chat. 6 degrees per second says troll with a purpose. I don't know if that's accurate, but I'm willing to believe it. Girls can't do gear ratios without a hug to see. This is dead end. Alright, I'll get back to it. If you guys got any questions, just as usual, type in @po the person, and then it will highlight it for me so that I know when you're addressing me directly. And then I don't have to read all the messages. I'll just read the ones that are specifically addressed to me. Okay. And now this pink one, I seem to remember, goes on top like this. I think facing up, actually, because this has to. This then locks with the hour hand, goes on like that. So this one faces up, like that, and the teeth interlock with this green one. And what I can't figure out about this whole deal is how this works, because the pink gear, like I just said, the hour hand goes on it like that. So the pink gear is driving the hour hand, and then this white spindle, which is actually attached to the black gear underneath, drives the minute hand. But obviously the minute hand goes a lot faster than the hour hand. But actually, when I couldn't figure this out when I first put it together, because when I put the minute hand on, or even if I don't put the minute hand on, when you do that, it's pretty cool, right? You can see the hour hand going around as the minute hand goes, but I can't actually figure out what is happening. Like when I look at it, I don't know, why is it doing that? I thought this was the sort of thing I was supposed to learn from putting this together, but it's a little bit baffling to me. Because when I try to move the hour hand on its own, it won't go. Like it's like stuck. Like it feels like I put it together wrong, because the actual darn gears won't go. Oh, can it go this way? No, not really. Anyway, you guys know about the it's kind of a trope that geniuses always take apart clocks and other moving toys and things to figure out how they work when they're children. Like Richard Feynman always in his biography says he does that. Yeah, I don't think I ever did that. Oh, there we go. I can make it do it. Anyway, just chuck it together and see what happens. Okay, that's what I'm doing. Alright, I think it's all going pretty well so far. Although I have just remembered that I need to put in all of this business on here as well. So I'm going to have to take off these two for just a second. Putting everything on in the right order is key. This is pretty sweet. This whole mechanism, I think you could probably take it out of the whole thing, but all it does is do the bell, which is actually quite an annoying sound. But once you have... This clock only works when you hold it vertically. So the hammer, the hammer gets brought up just by this poking it. I'll put it together so you can see. Although I don't know, this gear is in the way at the moment, but I think it won't be in the way later. So you can see when this rotates, it pushes this end of the hammer down, which pushes that end of the hammer up because it's hinged. And then after this passes it, I'll pick this off for now. After this passes it, it falls due to gravity. You can't see it right now because I'm holding it horizontally so it won't do it. But you see, it goes past it, lifts it up, and then once it's completely past, it's then got nothing holding it up, so it just falls onto the bell. So that's something I thought was pretty cool. I don't know if that's how they usually work. Maybe they're more sprung-loaded than relying on gravity, just so that a lot of clocks can work. They're not like grandfather clocks with a pendulum and a gravity hammer. It's a wrist-mounted thing or something that doesn't use gravity to regulate it or for any part of it to move. So I think this. Oh, these are the same. Okay, good. I think this piece goes on here. Oops. Shh. That's quite an annoying sound. And then this piece is just, I don't really see the point of it, but I think it stops it keeps the hammer in place. So you kind of have to rotate this white piece to the point where it won't, so that it just about lets the hammer fall, but it doesn't let the hammer stay on the bell, which would kind of dull the sound. It once the hammer falls, it pushes this sort of elasticated plastic part down a little bit, which then kind of pushes it back up. If I turn it around a little bit more, it'll do it better. Come on. No, it's being stubborn, but anyway, you can see it's got a little bit of spring to it now. Quite pleasing. So now when oops, that's not what I'm supposed to do. Just like that, and then it falls, and then ping. Alright, let's put all this back together again. Let's just tuck that back in there. And we've got our green guy. Sits in here, interlocks with the white. And the green is actually what's driving this thing, so that I think it strikes once every 15 minutes actually. But you could just as easily, if you don't like the dinging sound, I just thought of this, you could just chop off 3 of these, which would, of course, divide the number of times it strikes by 4, which would be once per hour instead of once per 15 minutes. So this is actually a very noisy clock, so I wouldn't suggest having it running normally anyway, just because it would drive you crazy, the ticking. And even if you take off the bell, it would still be noisy. So let's put the green one back. Have it interlock with white. This goes on top to drive the green here. I think we're ready to put the front on now. Except that I don't know where this piece goes. It's like having a piece left over when you're making IKEA furniture. Oh no, it goes on top of the bell, I suppose, just to stop the bell falling off inside. There we go. Let's put the front on. Let's put the right way up. That would be good. You might think we're done, but we're not. The pendulum part is actually very interesting. I was alluding to that earlier. Although it's not as obvious just from looking at it top down, so you might, I don't know if you'll be able to follow this. You just need to get the toy yourself to figure it out. Put the hour hand on. I suppose I should set it to the time. In bonny old England, it's 10:30. So let's put that on 10:30. At this stage, it's actually really easy to put it on wherever you want. It's not like locked in yet. So I'll just put it in approximately the right place. And the minute hand, I've got about 25. Yeah, that's good enough. So now, let's put this green piece in. This green piece just keeps the that sprung gear that I was talking about, the gear that actually winds up. The green piece keeps that in place. There we go. Now we have to stand it up, and I don't know if you can even see this. Let's have a quick look at what you're seeing. Yeah, okay. That might be a good view for it. So what we've got to do, here's our pendulum. We'll make that just for now. I'm just trying to get a view for you. So there's pendulum. it comes in 2 pieces that snap together, I guess, so you can adjust the height, the length of it, because the length, according to the pendulum sort of formula, the length is what determines the period, the amount of time it takes to go from this position to this position when it's swinging freely, and not the weight. So actually, maybe not. I'll give it a bit shorter just so I can keep the actual clock on the desk, because it won't swing at its full length. There's just it'll it'll hit the desk instead of swinging properly. So that's a bit of a compromise. But that's something you can tune, which I think is kind of interesting. And then behind this white gear that I was saying, that's the one with the long teeth that are actually going to interlock with this piece. And this piece has 2 kind of long teeth. I'm trying to show you that interlocks with the gear, so it will. I hope I can show you. You might not be able to see, but it's just, I'm just going to rest it on the gear there like that for now, and oh, this is going to fall in. Never mind. This piece goes in here, and that just kind of oh no. That's annoying. It's just fallen right in. It's like dropping a plectrum in the guitar. Alright, let's take the hands off. I'll do it properly this time. Shh. I hate that bill. Let's put this back on. I won't put the hands on. That was hubris. I was getting ahead of myself there. The hands will be the finishing touches of this masterpiece. Let's put this in. Oh no, this is a really tricky bit to assemble, because you've got to poke both of these bosses in. Is it called a boss? Kind of. We have to poke both of these protuberances into the right places, kind of simultaneously. Does it go like this? How does this go? So this one rests on here, and don't fall in this time, and then this one goes over the top. I'll put that in first. See if I can tuck the other one in afterwards. Oh no, it goes the other way around. Does it? Okay. Oh, I see. I see. I can't explain it, but I see. I see what I have to do. Wait, no, I don't see. I didn't think this would be the bit that would trip me up. Oh no. Let's just try poking this in here, and then we'll see how it goes. That's what she said. Oh no, don't fall in. I'm gonna try assembling it more, and then we'll see. Oh, okay. So, that's it. This yellow piece has to go in first, and then the other 2 sort of dangle off it like that, and then this one has to go underneath. That's why I couldn't figure it out. I wasn't doing it in the right order. Okay, that's resting on there. Don't fall in. Come on. Come on. Yeah, there we go. There's 3 there's 3 things that need to be lined up all at the same time for that to work. But now, wait, is that even done what I wanted it to? How is that going to drive that piece? Am I doing this right? Oh, we need to put this piece on as well. Uh-oh, uh-oh. Oh, come on. Alright. This piece is what actually drives the when the pendulum swings, it that is what actually sort of registers the fact that it's swinging. I don't think that makes sense, but trust me on that. It goes like so. This hangs off. This hangs off here. It's got a little square joiny, so it must go with whatever else has a square joiny bit, which is nothing. What does this join with? Does this have a square bit? Oh no. Oh, I just realised I haven't been looking at your chat because I've been trying to figure out what you can actually see. Okay. Hit the like button. Yeah, please. Oh, there's been quite a lot going on here. Yeah, again, I can't read everything you're saying. I'll read it later, but if you want me to reply to something now, you'll have to put @po the person at the start so that I can see it. I'm sure you're all saying that I don't know what I'm doing, because I don't. Maybe that goes on afterwards. Let's just try putting random pieces in. Seeing if we can get it to work. Feels like I'm missing a piece, really. Oh. Don't you dare. Let's put this face down and try to look at this for once. I mean, you can see it. Maybe you can give me some tips. What am I doing wrong here? What does this actually hang off? This interlocks with this. I know it does. And then this is sort of swinging and driving that. And this has got to interlock with that gear I was just talking about. And that's the actual thing that needs to swing. This needs to sort of rotate back and forth. Like this. For the whole thing to work. Maybe that is the square bit I was just talking about. Since this goes on here. I'll get out of there. Yeah, that goes on there, definitely. I found it. I found the missing link. Okay. And we'll slot it in there, so now it can't fall in. That'll be good. Oh no. So what I was going to say to all of you was that I was thinking, if I ever make it big enough to have my own merch, you know, sort of products that have my branding on that you can all buy, I'd really like to make my own version of this set, but with like nicer materials and yeah, like metal pieces or something, so you can make a really nice looking clock that you could build yourself, and have, you know, maybe just like a classy little logo on the inside that only you know about. I just think it's such a cool little thing. Although I wish it didn't look so gaudy and, you know, plasticky, which is kind of, you know, important for what it is. It kind of needs to be that. But I figure this is for children, and I'm sure adults can do much better, and you don't need so much of the colourfulness to get you to actually do it. You can figure it out for yourselves without a colour guide. More like a piece of IKEA furniture than a toy. Or maybe it could be like, you know, like I was talking about earlier, like a Rubik's Cube that you could figure it out yourself. It would be the fun of a puzzle. Yeah, so now, I don't know if you can see this, but now this can swing backwards and forwards, and it's interlocking with that white gear. So when, like before, when I was winding up the gears, it would just freely spin. But instead of freely spinning now, the pendulum swings back and forth, only allowing this white gear to turn once per second, like one, I don't know what you call it, to turn one gear tooth per second. Or not per second, but per swing of the pendulum, which can be as short or as long as the pendulum allows. This is let's put it this way around. So it's just hanging off there at the moment. And then we've got this little white piece that just sits on here so that it can't fall out. Just can't just fall off. And we're almost done, and we'll see if it works. It'll be exciting, won't it? Won't that be exciting? Let's put the crown jewels on our lovely hands. Oh no, we're gonna get it at the right time. It's 10:30ish, and then we'll put the second hand on. Put it around here. It's a little bit too late. Yes, the pendulum is adjustable, Big Pete. You can adjust the length of it. I would like to have it longer since this. Well, you'll see, I guess, but it's powered by winding. So you wind up this this little handle, and that has a spring inside this red cog. I guess is being wound, and then the tension in the spring makes it unwind, and it unwinds freely if it weren't for the pendulum regulating it from just unwinding as fast as it may. It makes it unwind at a certain speed. So if we wind it up now, I'll face it to you, it's going to be very exciting. Hear that? I'm going to wind it up a lot so it's very dramatic. But it won't actually start going until I get the pendulum going, because at the moment the gear isn't strong enough to push the pendulum. You have to start the pendulum yourself. You hear that? It's going. It's very exciting. I'll place the pendulum towards you because you can actually see. See, it's not swinging much, but it's not dying down. It is going. Oh no, it stopped. Maybe I have to wind it more. I think you do actually have to, because you wind it, I think you have to wind it quite a few times to get it going for a while. Well, that looks like a stronger swing. And it's so imperceptible. You can see the white gear is turning as the pendulum allows it, and then you can just about see that this red one is turning along with the white one. But the gear ratio is so extreme that you can barely see this blue one turning, and the the black and the pink as well, and the green. Well, I think I've done this wrong. That black one should be touching the red, so that it actually goes. At the moment, the clockwork is just turning on its own. This black one in the middle that actually turns the hands is not touching any of these outer gears, meaning that although it will keep ticking, the hands won't actually move. This is the mistake I made the first time I built it. And I could have just got away with it. You guys never would have noticed that it wasn't actually ticking, because it's you'd have to wait a few minutes before you realised that the hands weren't turning. But out of honesty, I have to tell you that this black one should be interlocking with the red gear, I think. But it's not, so I think I'll have to take it apart. I'm gonna get some water because my throat is drying out. You can keep seeing that tick for a second. Okay, I've got 20 minutes before bedtime. I've got to go to work tomorrow. And I think we can get this working. It's not above us. Although I would actually like to show you what happens when you take out the pendulum. That's what I was describing before, that the actual function of the pendulum. You can see it when I take it out. It's about to go crazy. So just... You see that? It makes a lot of noise, and all of the spring inside that gear I just wound up, just all unwinds at once. I will take these off. So what happened here? I think this, perhaps I got this just the wrong way up initially, that first time when I put it together. The first gear that I put in. See, now it's locking with the red one. So when the red one goes, the black one will go. And I'll just have to put these back together just a second. Here we go. Nope, this way up. Alright. That should work now. I hope. I'll put our little green piece in. This should not be the hard bit. Oh, come on. Alright. We put our pieces back in. I'm not saying anything, but I'm just trying to... Oh, and the yellow piece goes in. That's why I forgot the first time as well. Through the top. It's pin. Okay. So what do you think? What do you think? You want to try one of these? You want me to make some the person merch when I get to 100,000 subscribers, which will be probably either in 20 years or never. I'm gonna bet never. And once again, I'm gonna have to set the time on this thing. Let's go for, no, that's about right. And we've got, yeah. You know what? I don't care if you buy it or not. I want to make it anyway because it's just a cool project. Making a laser cut version of this with all the pieces. You know, just some 2mm alley laser cut pieces. I think that would be cool. All right. Well, it's the wrong time because this square piece, the hand fits onto a spindle with a square cross section, which means you can only fit it in 4 different places. So that's why the time isn't quite telling the right time. Let's try winding it up again. See if it actually ticks. You won't be able to see the hand moving probably. Alright. There it goes. And I don't know how to show you. I guess I could shorten the pendulum just to show you the fact that a shorter pendulum will tick faster. That's kind of an interesting thing, right? And then we can see the hands moving because it'll move so damn fast. You'll be able to see the whole thing. It's already going a bit faster, you couldn't tell. So this thing needs a longer pendulum. Which I guess is why grandfather clocks used to be a thing, is because they needed such a long pendulum to get an actual second to be right. Does that sound faster than before? I guess you can't really tell. Now you can't tell on the stream, and maybe I'm just imagining it, but I feel like I can see the hand ticking. The minute hand looks like it's twitching with every tick, which will be one. What would that be? If it's moving 1 second, it moves one of these. What would that be? 24 times 5. Because it's always 25. And it's moving 1/60th of 1 minute every second. And you can believe me or you cannot believe me, but I think that's moving. And it should be moving because everything's interlocking this time. Dave Doge, each tick is supposed to be a second, yes. And the mechanical swing is what is supposed to time that second. And you're supposed to be able to tune the pendulum so that each swing is a second. The length of it will determine how long it takes to tick. So the idea of the pendulum is you're supposed to be able to adjust the length of it so that it ticks once per second, and your hand only moves once per second. But This one's actually going a lot faster than once per second, which is why in a minute or so you should be able to see that this has moved since I set it. Alright, I don't have much else for you. It is almost my bedtime. And this is a shorter stream than I normally do. I think I'm just going to delete it. This is just going to be a stream between me and the 40 people here. So, to you 40 people, thank you very much for showing up. And I hope you enjoyed this little task, this little fun game. I'll see you again soon. Please join the, what am I saying? Please tune in for my follow-up to my Me Too video on Sunday. Sorry, Neo Unrealist. Yeah, I haven't got super chats because I haven't become a YouTube partner yet, meaning that I haven't had monetization enabled on my channel. I only applied for it a few weeks ago, and Benjamin Boyce told me that it would take about 6 months just to process, for YouTube to process that. So I might have super chats sometime in the future if I need the cash for whatever reason. If I lose my job for being too edgy, for instance. Alright, I'll see you guys on Sunday if you want to watch that video. Until then, have a good one, and may all of your clockwork be ticking.